People often see expat life as luxury, traveling the world, living comfortably. What they don't always see are the quiet challenges: loneliness, language barriers, parenting far from home, and of course, rebuilding genuine connections. Living abroad has shaped me deeply, and I believe many of us forget to honor the growth that we have gained through these experiences. That's why I created Rooted and Routed, a podcast where I sit down with guests to have honest conversations about identity, resilience, transformation, and of course, parenting abroad. If this resonates you, I would love for you to follow and subscribe my channel. Every follow helps me and my team to bring more diverse, meaningful conversations. And this motivates us also to do more and move forward. So please subscribe and follow the channel. Shall we start? Hi, welcome back to Rooted and Routed. My name is Sabia Pathan, and today I have a guest who is rather a new friend in my social circle. I met him a couple of months ago. The day when we met the first time, he said, I want to be on your podcast, but not now. I want you to wait for me for another 6 months, and then I will come, because then I want to share my experience, how my expat journey has been. Okay. So today, finally, we made it possible. I have the guest with me. He is Jan Thomas.
Yes, my name is Jan Thomas. You can call me JT. I've been living in India since June, so almost a year now. And I plan to stay here at least another year, possibly longer. So I work for a Norwegian bank called DNB, and we do most of our IT deliveries here from India. And I'm responsible for the IT deliveries from India, which is more than half of our deliveries are from India. So
you're the head of emerging technology and relationship manager for offshore.
Yes, that is right.
Well, I would like to start with something about your journey. So you moved in a year ago, you said, right? And this is your first expat assignment, right? What has it been like for you? I mean, how has the journey been to you? From Norway to India?
So from Norway to India came quite natural for me because I've been coming to India for the last decade, several times a year, and a lot of my team is based out of India. A lot of my colleagues, even in Norway, are Indian, so it was kind of an instant integration, no culture shock. Work-wise, it's been a few learnings. I think I have more of an Indian perspective now. I see things from the offshore side much more, and I think it's been very insightful and very helpful, especially when we're trying to improve our way of work, our way of communication, and our way of delivery. Work culture, I would say I am from Scandinavia. We are very focused on speed, efficiency. People want to come to work, get their job done, get the heck out of there. So India for me is a little bit slower.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I would say that was a challenge, but I have also started to see the value of focusing more on communication. Even the informal communication is very important there, which means you have to take the time. You have to be available. Even the chai drinking, which came as a surprise for me, 2 or 3 chai breaks every day. But this is not idle time. I would say that a lot of relationships are formed, and a lot of good conversation is made, and a lot of important decisions are made over a simple cup of tea. So
No.
I've come to cherish it.
I think the cultural part, when you said about the chai time, I think that is within many other cultures as well. So when I was in Sweden, Stockholm, there the culture is more fika,
Fika.
right? Is that the same thing in?
No, we don't have that.
So,
But I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
and then what is it then in Norway that you have, which is similar to our chai time, tea time?
That's a very good question. Maybe a short break at the coffee machine.
Okay, so it is okay. It is like a fika, but I think the Swedish fika are
But very efficient. Very much less time goes into that because we are almost obsessed with work-life balance. So for most people, they want to get their work done as fast as possible so that they can go home, spend time with their family, or even take an early weekend, go to the mountains, spend some days at their cabin with their family.
And then any other cultural aspect that you found was like, you said like you were not shocked because you have been living with Indian community in Norway a lot. But when you live with Indians abroad is one thing, and when you are in India, it's quite different.
It's a little bit different. Yeah. One thing that I really, really love is how most Indians celebrate absolutely every holiday. So there's always a celebration, and it's done quite in a grand fashion. So I've never celebrated as much in the past as I've done this year here in India.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've noticed that you've been part of each and every occasion, and you've embraced that, right? Because
Of course.
not everybody is in that phase of life where you welcome each and every part of the culture. And I think, were you curious to know about the culture? Was it more like a natural flow? No, I just need to, out of respect, be part of it.
I think I'm naturally curious, so I think it's nice to celebrate, and I like how Indians go all in with the dress and everything. So I have my wardrobe full of Indian outfits now.
And how many are there?
At least 30.
Wow, that is more than my husband. For me, when it comes to cultural integration, I also feel like the language is quite a major part. Did you ever face any such situation where you felt like, I wish I would have known the language or learned a bit?
Not really. I think you come very far with English in India, and even at my office, people are from different parts of India, so not everyone is native to Marathi or Hindi. So English is what works best. Only time is if you're, somewhere remote and in a village or someplace where people are a little bit less educated. Maybe language could be a problem, but mostly I feel very comfortable in English, and also if a word isn't understood, you also come very far with body language.
Also, yes, hand gesture. That's true. That's true, and it works, right? Whether it is in the public space, commute. Was there anything about the food that you had to struggle with integrating?
Actually, I'm very used to different types of food. I'm also comfortable with the spice level. One thing that I almost find a little bit annoying is that Indians spend a lot of time talking about food. Well, at least a couple of hours a day, you're talking about what you ate or what you want to eat or what you're making, what kind of food you like and you don't like. So food is always a topic, and anywhere you go, you will be offered food.
There's one point that I remember when we were speaking about as part of your culture shock is traffic, and the other thing was the bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy is...
How was that experience for you?
Should I be honest?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, first 3 months, I would say, were almost like hell because there was so much paperwork that had to be fixed and things have to be done in a certain order.
Yeah.
Everything takes time, and ultimately you get a bank account, which you can't survive without a bank account, right? So that time was a little bit frustrating for me, and something that I probably was not prepared for. And something that I would also, good advice to anyone coming to India or probably any other country is the first couple of months is more about the bureaucracy, less about work.
Yeah.
You just have to take the time, you have to get the important stuff in order, and then after that you forget about it. you're just happy.
I think in Sweden, I as well struggled with getting the bank account, but the bank account was okay. It was the other number, which is more like the social security number, and without that, you cannot get the cable connection.
Because everything is linked to that.
Yes, everything is linked to that. That was the hard part. Yeah, but yeah, it takes. I think it's more or less a longer period, but probably in India much more difficult because there's no such one place where everything is done, right? Did you had a medium in between who was helping you, who helped you?
Yes, we have an agency that helps us.
Okay.
But still, it takes time.
Yeah, it takes time. And while you kind of integrate with the culture, if this doesn't work out, then I don't know, all the nice things start to look a little bit difficult to embrace. I think so. Was it the case?
It's hard to relax completely before you have all these basic things in order. Because if you get a bill, how are you supposed to pay it if you don't have backing? I have good friends though, so it worked out.
Yeah. But also, you must have got some expat policies in place, right, in the company? Or was it something like finding your way, like navigating?
I got a lot of help from the agency, and also I had someone to scream at.
Well, from there, I would like to speak a little bit about now the inclusive spaces. How important do you think is for leadership voices to actively create a safe, supportive, and inclusive spaces?
I think inclusion is key to everything at work. I think, at least for me personally, I've been always very into diversity. I think that in order to have a team where people are creative, where new ideas are made, you need people with different types of backgrounds, different life stories, because that's how that's how innovation is created. And that's very important. And that's always been my policy as a manager, to strive for diversity.
I think when it comes to diversity and bringing in inclusive spaces, you also bring a different kind of talent, right? If you don't really focus on inclusivity, I think you miss the point of the whole, I don't know, maybe talented people which you will not have access to. And with that, how do you aim to set a benchmark to become a role model for fostering, promoting inclusive workspaces and culture?
I think as a leader, you have to focus on this every day. You have to focus on the psychological safety of your team members, and you have to create this space where people feel that they can bring their ideas, bring their identity, basically bring their whole self to work and feel valued, feel cherished.
And is that any different than Norway and India? I know the company is the same, but is it any different?
I am not sure. I can't speak for all of India, but I, from my experience, when it comes to especially gender equality, my impression is that it's come very far in India in the workplace. When it comes to ethnic diversity, I would say there's probably less of it in India as compared to Norway, where we've had a lot more immigration. So I don't think you can compare it.
No. I think in India, within India, we have so much of diverse culture.
Yeah.
The regional
true.
culture.
Yeah.
And that is kind of hard to recognize, and you can't see the difference. But yeah, if it is in Norway, it is easily visible, but here it's not. But here, I think the moment you come down to maybe break at the tea time, then
they will hear about all the
yes.
different states, the different
Yes.
even the different towns and villages within the state, and how everyone has their own dialect, 19 languages or more, maybe.
Okay. So, how would you describe India's cultural landscape to today in terms of LGBTQ plus friendliness, both inside and outside corporate spaces?
I would say that I'm impressed, especially in the large corporates. And the ones that I've worked with, which are some of the largest IT companies in India. There's a policy, there is a framework, and there's also very much intent. So I'm impressed. I think India has come very far when it comes to doing the right things, having the right policies in place. One thing that you don't see much is visibility. So I think there's still a way to go there. You don't see a lot of transgender or same-sex celebrations, and
Okay.
it's not a topic that is oftenly discussed. So some room for improvement will be there. When it comes to India as a whole, I think it's very complex. My impression is that it depends on where in the country you're from. Are you from a village? Are you from a city?
Yeah.
What's your family like? What is your larger community like? But there definitely is a lot of acceptance, and especially here in Pune, I have never encountered any challenges. I see it as a very open-minded society where people don't really care what you do. They're too busy with their own lives to rather than focusing on what someone else is doing behind closed doors.
I think so. Yeah. But also, like, I think it is not easy for people to really come out and show their authentic self at work. That should be, as you said, visible, and it should come within you. It shouldn't be like a pressure.
Shouldn't be forced.
Exactly, yeah. Because I think that is more the challenge, and I think that's where the inclusive culture brings in that. Okay, it helps you come out with your authentic self, and I think that also helps in their work and the organization, of course, right, to kind of retain the talent.
That is actually a good observation, and you see the same even with religion. If you compare to the way we work with diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and these are topics that are openly discussed, both sexual orientation, gender issues, and also things related to religion. And what I see, at least in the companies that I've worked here in India, is that religion is something that you do at home, and you don't really bring those discussions into the workplace. Which I think there's a lot of good in that policy as well, because you avoid possibly some conflicts.
Is there something that people still feel uncomfortable to speak about, or is there something different that you do at work?
I would say, I'm not sure. Definitely there is something there, but I think it's more the style of communication, that things are not as explicit, maybe in India, that things are more, subtle.
Yeah. They know it, but they probably don't prefer to speak and discuss more about it.
Maybe there's something there.
Yeah. What advice would you offer to professionals taking on international assignment like yourself, where cultural attitudes towards inclusion differs? It's different.
That's a very good question. I would say come with a completely open mind, and leave all your kind of judgment, assumption, everything that you've heard about the country you're going to behind. Leave it at the doorstep, because things are never exactly what you've been told. So I think you just have to be open-minded, listen to people, try to learn. You won't have any issues.
But also to kind of have some sense of idea about what the culture is about.
I don't think it was necessary, because I've been here so many times already.
But I think
you should know something about
exactly.
the country. You should know a little bit about the population, the history. It's good to know about the climate.
It is.
But still, things are never exactly what you've been told. So just be open-minded, take things as they come, and try to enjoy as much as possible.
Moving on to the technology part, how do you see technology playing a role in building new, more inclusive and understanding communities? Your role, your specialty is in AI, NLP, robotics?
Yes. So that's a very good question because technology is so transformative. There's no limit to what you can achieve with access to technology. But there's a flip side of the coin as well. There's always someone who's left behind. Especially with services that are digitally native, where there's no kind of manual process, you have a lot of people, a lot of parts of society that, due to maybe their age, maybe due to access to basic things like a device, an iPhone, a laptop, or internet, or just, lack of resources, do not have access to this type of technology, and they get left behind.
What is natural learning process, right? What is NLP?
Natural language processing.
Language processing.
That's basically a machine either understanding language or producing language. You have Siri on your phone?
Yeah.
So that is NLP, basically.
So what's the difference between machine learning?
Machine learning is, I would say that it's definitely overlapping, but machine learning is a lot more than NLP.
Something that I noticed quite recently is about your involvement towards NGO initiatives. This is something that many do, but probably once or twice. But to keep an ongoing relationship with the NGO initiatives, it's not everybody's cup of tea. What inspired you to get involved in these initiatives, and what does it mean? What does it mean for you on a personal level?
For me, it means a lot. I would say it's part of who I am. I've always believed in contributing to society, both in my personal life, and I try also to implement it at work. So if we have a big celebration, a big lunch or something, then we'll also try to do something nice. It can be just a small gesture for a school, an orphanage, old folks home. And I think that, that practice of giving, it makes your joy even greater when it comes to the celebration or maybe you bought something that was a little bit too expensive, but at least you've also helped someone else.
That kind of balances out your whole of, earning and then spending, right? And I think it needs. What is your process like to look for NGO initiatives? What is it that you look for?
It just happens. I don't have a good answer. People have asked me. I just naturally come in contact with people. And somehow I get involved in these programs. Now, currently, I'm helping out 5 schools and orphanages across India. It can be everything from helping with dietary needs, like funding the food for the children, funding school uniforms, books, even things for fun, like a cake celebration when there's a birthday. There's so many things at a small level that anyone can do. Apart from that, I've also started the tradition of donating bicycles. So every month I donate a few, sometimes more.
That's a good one.
And then, of course, I cannot stand to see children or animals suffer. So I'm also part of a rescue group for dogs. In the process, I now have a dog. It was not a plan, but my little puppy, she was abandoned at 4 weeks old. And I took her home, and now.
Look, there's a lot of joy to give, right? The giving back. I think all of us have more or less, but to really do it the way you do it and really extending it to different parts of India, really helping, whether it is one bicycle to some kids, you supply the stationery, right? The school supplies, and then to the rescuing of the dog. These are quite a variety of volunteering involvement. And yeah, I think kudos to you. And I think people should be more and more involved. It's very positive. Like now that imagine extending it to also to your team, taking them out from the workspace, a completely different setup. Is that something that is done on a larger scale? The scope of the event is large, or
I would say it is usually very at a very manageable, small scale. But if you do it enough times and you have enough teams doing it, then it of course will amount to something. And I've never tried to save the world. I think that if you could provide access to education just for one child, then you've already produced another well-educated person who is going to go out and contribute to society. So not everything has to be at scale.
Yeah. But I think it's as part of team building activities. I think it's a good event instead. Yeah, I mean, normally what we see is events done in the companies, in the campus, in the office campus, and then I think the charm of really going out and being involved and really looking at the kids.
And seeing villages that you would
Exactly.
never, ever, think of visiting, and falling in love with the people there, the nature there, the simple way of life there.
Pray that when you involve yourself in such activities, it is a fulfilling experience. Something that is a key takeaway from being an expat in India. Yeah, I think so. Looking back at your personal and your professional journey, what are you most proud of?
I would say that I'm most proud of the opportunities that I've created for other people. I have a policy, and we were talking about diversity earlier. I have recruited people who did not look perfect on paper. Maybe they had some life event that happened or some education that was completed. But these are people with still with very strong drives, very passionate about working. And I would say that most of the times where I've done this, it has been a complete success.
Was it also the same in Norway that you
Yes,
had eye for
absolutely.
that?
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, that is without the degrees, as you mentioned about it is possible, quite possible, that because of some circumstances that somebody is not able to finish the degree.
Maybe there was a war in their country and they had to,
Leave their home.
leave their home before they could finish their education. And so they would have some gaps in their CV or in their resume, but they can still be very.
Yeah, you need to give them opportunity for it.
Of course, and, without that opportunity, when will you ever look good on paper?
Yeah. And you will be remembered as one of those, the person, the motivator, and the giver, right? Opportunity giver.
Giver of opportunity. It sounds
Big words.
Sounds too big for me.
Giver. Well, I'm coming to the last part of the podcast. One question. If you could share one message with young leaders about authenticity, leadership, and giving back, what would it be?
I should have a good answer for this. I would probably say to always stay true to yourself and true to your values, even when that can be sometimes a little bit uncomfortable, and speak up for what you believe is right, and lead with your both intent and with your heart, because none of us know what will happen tomorrow. So
that is.
That's why you should always, be very grateful for the opportunities that you yourself have received. Be happy about your success, share that success, and help people on your way up also in your career.
I think that is
personally that
those are really no, but that is honest. And sometimes I feel like there's a lot of talks about the future planning of 3 years and 5 years, and we have to agree there are a lot of people who believe in the path of planning. So be it, and I think we have to also respect that space, which is for everybody.
I respect them.
Yeah.
God bless them.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Jan,
you
for
so
your time, for your insights. Being a rather new expat in India, you have been your authentic self. And I'm sure the ones who are watching, the audience, they will learn few things about your insights. And hope to. I'll share your link of. Can I share your Instagram account to people
My Instagram account, yes, of course.
so that they can follow your journey and maybe connect with you if at all they have any questions? Because
If someone wants to contribute but don't know how, then they can connect with me.
awesome, that's great.
And can I also come back when I'm an old expat?
Make sure Rooted and Routed is alive.
Yes. Please follow.
Thank you so much. Thank you.